You mentioned in an op-ed in the National Interest that China's undermining US support in the Taiwanese public. How is China exactly doing that?
A recent article that Fei Panlin and I wrote discusses emerging skepticism toward the US in Taiwan. And we trace misleading narratives in Taiwan that try to discredit international support for our country. This includes inflammatory slogans such as "Today Afghanistan, Tomorrow Taiwan," or conspiracy theories about a supposed American plan for the destruction of Taiwan. In general, these skeptical narratives try to tell people that the US cannot be trusted. Many of these arguments are constructed by Chinese state media and later get amplified by politicians within Taiwan who share the views of Beijing, mostly hardline voices from the KMT party. Personally, I think such views could undermine trust between Taiwan and long-standing international partners, including the US and many like-minded democracies. And by undermining trust, it also weakens public confidence in Taiwan's security. I think this also indicates the importance for democracies around the world to continue to publicly state their support for Taiwan. And at other times, a similar line of reasoning advocates for Taiwan to maintain a so-called equal distance between China and the US. However, since China is not a neutral actor in the Taiwan Strait, adopting a false equivalence would only allow China to further expand its military influence.
Does this also include the Chinese cutting of internet cables between Taiwan and the Matsu Islands where you're based?
We cannot rule out any possibility for the motivation behind the damaged sea cables in Matsu. Well, to give a bit of context, the Matsu Islands have suffered from extremely slow internet since early February, after the two sea cables connecting Taiwan and the Matsu Islands were damaged, respectively by a Chinese fishing boat and then by a Chinese cargo boat. I think the incident in Matsu sends a warning signal that Taiwan must strengthen the security and resilience of our telecommunications, regardless of whether the cables were damaged because of a natural disaster or because of military threats or intentional cutting. So if an internet outage can happen for Matsu, the same thing could happen for Taiwan. What would we do if Taiwan's 14 submarine cables that connect us to the international community were damaged? And this points to the importance of backup plans, such as low Earth orbit satellite technology, which has been crucial in maintaining communications throughout the war.
Do you feel China's campaign will intensify given that Taiwan's presidential elections are coming up next year?
I think that is something worth observing, and I will not rule that out. Although what we've seen over the past few years is that although anti-American sentiment is at the moment far from mainstream in Taiwan, in recent years, such views have gained an unprecedented amount of support especially among pan-blue supporters. Compared to 10 years ago, in the past, Chinese propaganda used to focus on praising China's economic achievements and their achievements at home. Now, it seems like Chinese propaganda seeks to question the actions of the US and other democratic countries, including on events both within the Asian region and also on a global scale. So Chinese state media uses a curious mix of different arguments. On global issues, the US is criticized for intervening too much or meddling in the affairs of other countries. But on the issue of Taiwan, the US is criticized for not doing enough or for potentially abandoning Taiwan. And compared together, the goal of these narratives is to create public distrust of the US and perhaps the notion that to promote the notion that Taiwan should pursue a policy of appeasement towards China, since international support is unreliable through the lenses of these misleading narratives.
In your view, what's the best way to dispel these misleading narratives?
Well, again, I think it's crucial and very important for the international community to continue to publicly support Taiwan in visible ways, and to continue to strengthen friendship with Taiwan.